Hey guys, this is Mary here. I know I have been MIA for the last at least 4 or 5 weeks. Busy season hit me hard, and I was not expecting the ridiculous number of newborns that I have seen in the past 2 months. So I completely apologize if you all feel neglected. You totally should, because I just really haven't had the time to make any tutorials lately. So I thought, as a way to make up for not being a great host for this website or this Facebook group, I'm going to give you one of my absolute favorite secrets of all time, and that is how to remove a color cast in 2 seconds from your image. This technique doesn't require a ton of knowledge about levels or anything special like that. It can be done really easily in a few steps. And if you just memorize kind of what I'm going to show you right now, I guarantee you can fix any color cast in any image that you come across. So the very first one I'm going to do here is of my nephew Brigham. You can see, because of his red sweatshirt here, he has a lot of red color cast going on here in his cheeks. And that is the number one thing that I'm going to get rid of. Now, this image is straight out of camera. I have not edited any of it yet. But I am going to show you just right off the bat how I would get rid of this color cast. And you've probably never seen this technique before. It's kind of unique, but it's kind of awesome. So I think you're going to like it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here in my right-hand corner where all my different options are. And I am going to choose a curves layer. Boom, there's a curves layer. Now, by default, what is selected here is the mask. You can see that it's selected around this white box here. I don't want the mask selected. I want the curves layer selected. So I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little box with a grid and a little line through it. I'm going to click on that because I want to make sure that this is selected. That is going to show up this properties box here. What you're going to do is double click on the top eyedropper. Okay? And now you're going to look at your image and you're going to find an area of skin that is the color that you want instead of the color cast. In this picture, you don't want to go crazy overboard and like choose something up here. You want something kind of a little bit similar to where his cheek would be. So I'm going to choose this area right here. And then I'm going to hit OK. It's going to say, do you want to save this as a new target color as default? And I'm going to say, no, I don't. Then my eyedropper is going to come back. Now I'm going to click on the area that I want to change. So I'm going to look down here at his cheek, and I'm going to pick the biggest color cast area, which is right down here, and I'm going to click on it. And you can see right away it looks awful, and don't worry about that. Because what we're going to do is we're going to click back now on this white layer mask, and we're going to hit Command I to invert that layer. If you are on a PC, you want to hit Control I, and that's going to invert your layer. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to pick a brush. Now this is a black mask, so we want to make sure we have a white brush because we want to reveal what's under it. You want to make sure your opacity of this brush is at 10%. The shortcut to do that is just to hit the number 1 on your keyboard, and that's going to make it 10%. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over these areas that I want to fix just a little bit at a time, and I'm going to fix this color cast. There's some over here in his cheek I'm going to fix. You could even fix a little bit on his nose, maybe under the chin here. And some of these are a little splotchy. We're going to fix up those splotchy things. Okay, so there you go. So before and after, I'm going to hit this little eyeball to show you. Here was before the color cast removal. Here's after. Super simple, so easy to do. So many people will tell you to do a hue saturation layer, to do a color balance layer. I'm telling you, this is so much easier. This takes 2 seconds. I went from this to this, and I am happy. Another image I'm going to pull up real quick, which is a client who may or may not be in this group. So if you are in this group, thank you so much for letting me photograph your newborn. I love this picture. I'm so glad you ordered it as a canvas. And I'm going to show you exactly how I fixed a little tiny problem that I see in this image. And when I scroll in, and this is so common with newborn images, is you're going to see a hand that's a little bit purple. That happens. His weight of his body is holding on this little hand, and the blood flow gets a little bit less. Now, of course, we don't leave them in this position long enough to make actual damage to this hand, but he's in it for maybe 5 or 6 minutes, and that's enough to make his hand a little purple. The other thing is, because I used this red felt, you are going to see a little bit of red reflection that comes up on this cheek. And we are going to use the same exact curves method to get rid of that, okay? So we're going to go down here to the bottom of our right-hand screen. We're going to choose the circle with the little squiggly through it, because that is what Adobe has chosen as the universal symbol for different layering modes. We are going to choose curves. Right off the bat, it's going to highlight the white box. We don't want that. We want to move over here and highlight the curves box. Once we highlight it, we want to double click on the very top eyedropper here. And we are going to choose an area of this image which is a target skin that we want to go for. Because we want to fix kind of down here under his chin, and we want to fix this purple hand. I wouldn't choose like up here on this cheek because this is pretty light. I would choose probably somewhere down here because we don't want it to be like crazy light. Once I click there, I'm going to hit OK. It's going to say, do you want to save it as a new target default? And I'm going to say no. Now I'm going to click on the area that I want to change. So in this situation, I'd probably click down here because this seems to be the darkest color cast I see. So I'm going to click there. It's going to look like this, which is awful. I'm going to go back and choose my white layer. I'm going to hit Command or Control I, depending on what device I'm on. I'm going to choose my brush, which I can do from choosing over here, or I can just hit the B button because that's the shortcut for choosing your brush. You can change your brush size using the brackets. I'm going to change my brush size to about right there. I want to make sure that my brush is a white brush because I'm using a black mask, and it is. And I want to make sure that my opacity is at 10%, which if it's not, I'm going to hit the number 1 on my keyboard to make sure that it is. And I'm going to start out by just very carefully hitting some of these areas over here that look a little dark. Once I'm happy with how they look, I'm going to go over and I'm going to work on this purple hand a little bit. Now the purple hand's probably going to use a little bit more love than the cheek used because the purples is very much a different color than the rest of this image. But I also don't want to go crazy because I don't want it to look kind of like I completely changed the color of his hand. I don't want that. So now I'm going to look back. This is the image with the color cast removed. I'm going to choose this little eyeball right here, and I'm going to show you before and after. That's a pretty dramatic change. If I wanted to go in and darken this shadow a little bit to show a little bit more separation from this hand and this chin, I completely could do that. If I don't, and I'm happy with the way that looks, I can leave it just as it is. And you can see he went from having a purple hand to a normal colored hand. So that is it. I'm going to quit out of Lightroom, or Photoshop, and I'm not going to save either of these because I don't need them right now. I'm going to go back to Lightroom. Thank you guys so much for being part of my group, for following me and my tutorials. I try the best I can to come up with as many tutorials as I can for you guys. I know right now is busy season, so please, please bear with me. I try to answer as many questions as I can, but right now I'm doing 6 to 7 sessions a week and I'm pretty bogged down, especially with having a 14-month-old and a 4.5-year-old, so I'm kind of all over the place. If you really need to get a hold of me and you're posting in the group and you feel like I'm not answering, it might be that I just don't see the image. So feel free to PM me or tag me in a post to get my attention, and I will absolutely answer your questions as soon as I can. Thank you guys so much for joining in, and I will see you soon. I look forward to your comments on this tutorial. So thank you so much.